We grow up thinking success looks like shiny trophies, big paychecks, and corner offices. Then one day you meet someone who is all that and they're still miserable. That's when you realize success isn't a destination, it's a direction. It's not about climbing faster, it's about climbing right. And the truth no one tells you is the most successful people don't chase success, they build lives worth living. So today, let's talk about what success really means when the applause fades and the lights go out. Success isn't what you get, it's who you become. That's something most people don't realize until they've already spent years chasing the wrong things. When we're young, we're told success is about collecting stuff, grades, trophies, titles, cars, followers. The world cheers the loudest for those who look like they're winning on paper. But the truth is, the scoreboard doesn't always tell the story. Sometimes, the people with the most medals are the ones who lost the most important race, the one with themselves. When you're chasing success, it's easy to get caught up in the outcome. You start believing that if you just get that one promotion, or make that one breakthrough, or hit that one goal, then you'll finally feel fulfilled. But success doesn't work like that. It's sneaky. You reach one mountaintop, and suddenly there's another one staring back at you. That's because the goalpost keeps moving. The world keeps raising the bar, and you keep running faster, harder, trying to catch something that was never meant to stand still. But here's the twist. Success was never meant to be caught. It was meant to shape you. Every challenge, every rejection, every sleepless night isn't just a step toward what you want. It's a step toward who you're becoming. The truth nobody tells you is that the real prize isn't the achievement itself. It's the person you become in the process of earning it. Think about it. The long hours you put in teach you discipline. The failures teach you humility. The moments when you feel lost teach you empathy for others who are lost too. The obstacles that frustrate you today are quietly building the patience and resilience you'll need tomorrow. You can lose the award, the title, or the job, but you'll never lose the character those moments gave you. That's real success. I once knew a student who was obsessed with being the best. She worked harder than anyone else. Top grades, perfect projects, nonstop energy. But one day she came to me in tears because she realized she had no idea why she was working so hard. She had built a rare summe, not a life. So I asked her, are you proud of what you've achieved or who you've become while achieving it? She sat there quietly, and that silence said everything. See, the world rewards results, but life rewards growth. And the funny thing is, when you start focusing on growth, on learning, kindness, creativity, and character, the external rewards often follow naturally. People notice authenticity. They trust those who are real, who are grounded, who build from the inside out. Success becomes less about impressing others and more about expressing yourself. You can have all the external signs of success and still feel empty if you've ignored the inner work. But if you've grown into someone honest, grateful, and compassionate, then no failure can take that away from you. The outer world can give and take titles, but only you can decide who you become through the journey. So when you're chasing your dreams, don't just ask, what will I get? Ask, who will I become? Because at the end of the day, your trophies will collect dust, your job titles will fade, but your character, that's the legacy that lasts. The real truth about success is that it's not found in what you hold in your hands, but in what you hold in your heart. And if you can look in the mirror and genuinely like the person staring back at you, congratulations, you've already made it. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. That's something we don't like to hear because failure hurts. It bruises your pride, dents your confidence, and sometimes makes you question your worth. But here's the truth no one likes to talk about. Every successful person you admire has a graveyard full of failed attempts behind their victories. The only difference between them and those who gave up is that they didn't stop digging. Failure is life's way of asking, how badly do you want this? It's the filter that separates the curious from the committed. When everything goes wrong, when the world says no, when you feel like nothing is working, that's when life is testing whether your dreams are just wishes or promises you've made to yourself. And that test isn't meant to break you, it's meant to build you. When I was younger, I used to think failure was something to avoid, something embarrassing, something that meant I wasn't good enough. But over time, I realized failure is the best teacher I've ever had. It's brutally honest. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. It shows you what works and what doesn't, not because it wants to humiliate you, but because it wants to prepare you. The lessons that stick the hardest are the ones you earn through your mistakes. You see, failure strips away the illusion of perfection. It humbles you. It makes you stop pretending you have it all figured out and forces you to start learning again. And that's where growth begins. You can read all the success books you want, but one honest failure will teach you more about resilience, creativity, and patience than any classroom ever could. I once worked with a student who was terrified of getting things wrong. She would spend hours making sure her work was flawless before showing it to anyone. But that fear of failure became a cage. She stopped experimenting, stopped taking risks, stopped dreaming beyond what she knew she could already do. When she finally took a leap and failed spectacularly, something amazing happened. She laughed. She realized the world didn't end. Her friends still respected her, and more importantly, she learned what she couldn't have learned by playing it safe. That failure freed her. We live in a world obsessed with instant results. People post their highlight reels, but they rarely show the bloopers. You don't see the nights of doubt, the unfinished drafts, the rejections that come before the applause. And that's dangerous because it makes you think you're the only one struggling. But behind every overnight success is 1,000 quiet nights of persistence, frustration, and learning from mistakes. Success is just failure that refused to quit. The truth is, failure isn't the enemy. Fear of failure is. Fear tells you to stop before you even start. Fear convinces you that rejection means you're not worthy. But failure, real failure, is proof that you tried. It's evidence of courage. Every time you fall, you're one step closer to figuring out how to stand taller. So the next time you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what now? Because success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back from it. It's about turning every no into a reason to keep going. Every scratch, every star, every stumble is a chapter in the story that makes you who you are. If you can learn to see failure not as a dead end, but as a detour guiding you to something better, you'll never truly lose. You'll evolve, you'll grow. And one day, when you finally succeed, you'll realize the road was supposed to be hard because it was shaping you for something greater than you could have imagined. Passion beats perfection every time. Somewhere along the way, we started believing that success belongs to the people who never make mistakes. The ones who always look polished, always have a plan, always get it right. But the truth is, the world isn't moved by people who are perfect. It's moved by people who care so deeply that they can't help but give everything they've got, even when it's messy. Passion is what keeps the fire burning when perfection fails you. And trust me, perfection will fail you. Perfection is a finish line that keeps moving. You can chase it all your life and never reach it because there's always something you could have done better, something you could have said smarter, something that could have looked cleaner. And while you're polishing every detail, life is passing you by. Passion doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It leaps before it's ready. Passion says, I'll figure it out as I go, because it believes the act of doing is where the magic happens. When I was teaching, I'd often tell my students that enthusiasm is worth more than talent. You can teach skills, but you can't teach heart. I'd rather have someone in my team who's excited, curious, and full of energy than someone who's technically brilliant but emotionally checked out. The passionate ones bring life into everything they touch. They turn obstacles into puzzles, setbacks into stories, and work into art. Passion doesn't guarantee success, but it guarantees growth. And that's far more valuable in the long run. Let me share something personal. The best ideas I've ever had didn't come from moments of calm control. They came from moments of chaos, laughter, and unfiltered creativity. Times when I was too busy enjoying what I was doing to worry about how it looked. Passion gives you permission to play, to experiment, to fall flat on your face and still get up smiling. Perfection, on the other hand, chains you to fear. Fear of looking foolish, fear of not measuring up, fear of trying something new. And fear is the enemy of innovation. The irony is, the people we call geniuses, the ones who change the world, are never perfectionists at heart. They're passionate learners. They tinker, they break things, they rebuild, and they keep going. They know that excellence is born from persistence, not flawlessness. If you're passionate enough, the imperfections don't matter. In fact, they make your journey human, and that's what people connect to. I once met a young man who wanted to start a project but kept delaying it because wasn't ready. Every week, he'd tell me he just needed to make it a little better. Months passed. One day I told him, the world can't be inspired by something that's stuck in your notebook. Passion doesn't wait for permission. It launches, learns, and adjusts. You can't perfect what doesn't exist. But when you follow your passion, you create momentum. And momentum is unstoppable. Perfection whispers, "You're not ready." Passion shouts, "Do it anyway." That's the difference between dreamers and doers. Passion makes you brave enough to try when logic says it's too risky. It keeps you grounded when you fail and humble when you succeed. It's not about doing everything right. It's about doing what feels right to you. So if you ever have to choose between being perfect and being passionate, choose passion. Perfection might impress people for a moment, but passion inspires them for a lifetime. When people see someone who truly loves what they do, it reminds them that life is supposed to be lived, not just managed. The truth about success nobody tells you is that it's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about caring enough to keep trying, keep learning, and keep loving the process. Passion beats perfection, not because it's flawless, but because it's alive. Success without integrity is just noise. You can climb to the top of the tallest mountain, but if you lost your honesty, your kindness, or your decency along the way, you didn't really reach the summit, you just lost your way at a higher altitude. The world celebrates people for what they achieve, but life remembers them for how they achieved it. And that how, that's where integrity lies. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. It's easy to be honest when it's convenient, when it makes you look good, or when it earns applause. The real test comes when it costs you something, a deal, a promotion, a shortcut that would have made life easier. In those moments, integrity whispers quietly, "Do the right thing anyway." And most of the time, that whisper doesn't make you rich, but it does make you real. When I was younger, I thought success was about being admired. I thought if people clapped, I was doing something right. But the longer I lived, the more I realized that character isn't built in front of the crowd. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's paying attention. You can fool others for a while, but you can't fool yourself forever. Success might open doors, but only integrity keeps them open. I once had a student who wanted to impress everyone. He worked hard, delivered results, and seemed unstoppable. But in his rush to win, he began cutting corners, small lies, small shortcuts, small betrayals of trust. Each one felt harmless at first, but eventually the cracks showed. His relationships strained, his team stopped trusting him, and he realized that the foundation he'd built his success on was hollow. The world may forgive your mistakes, but it rarely forgets your character. He learned, painfully but powerfully, that success earned without integrity is a success you'll spend the rest of your life trying to defend. Integrity gives your success meaning. It's the difference between being respected and being remembered. You might get ahead faster by bending the rules, but you'll never sleep peacefully knowing you cheated your way there. The people who truly win in life aren't the ones who outsmart others. They're the ones who outlast them, because their reputation becomes their legacy. The funny thing about integrity is that it's contagious. When you live with honesty, people around you start to rise to that level too. You inspire trust, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. People may not always agree with you, but they'll know where you stand, and that's powerful. In a world where everyone's trying to impress, being genuine becomes rare currency. The truth nobody tells you about success is that it's not worth having if you can't look at yourself in the mirror afterward. The applause fades, the awards gather dust, the money gets spent. But the kind of person you become lasts forever. Integrity isn't a strategy, it's a commitment. It's not about winning at all costs, it's about knowing you didn't lose yourself in the process. Someday, people will forget your numbers, your titles, your achievements, but they'll remember how you treated them. They'll remember how you made them feel. Success without integrity might make noise for a while, but it's integrity that creates the music people never forget. So when life tempts you with shortcuts, Remember this, you can always rebuild success, but you can never rebuild trust once it's gone. Choose integrity, because in the end, it's not the loudest legacy that matters, it's the one that rings true. Happiness is the real finish line. We spend so much of our lives chasing success that we forget to ask a simple question: what's the point if you're not happy when you get there? Somewhere between deadlines and dreams, we start believing happiness is something we'll earn after we achieve everything we're supposed to. But that's not how it works. Happiness isn't the reward for success, it's the foundation of it. If you can't find joy in the journey, you'll never feel fulfilled when you reach the destination. I've met people who seemed to have everything: wealth, power, recognition, and yet they looked empty. They thought success would fill the void, but instead it only made the silence louder. They'd say things like, "Once I get the next thing, I'll finally relax," but that next thing never ends. It's a treadmill, and no matter how fast you run, it keeps moving. The truth nobody tells you is that the real winners in life aren't the ones who finish first. They're the ones who enjoyed running the race. Happiness doesn't come from achievement, it comes from alignment. When what you do every day connects with who you are and what you care about. If your work makes you proud, your relationships make you grateful, and your actions make you peaceful, then you're already successful, no matter what the world says. Because joy isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you build brick by brick through gratitude, purpose, and kindness. When I was teaching, I noticed something interesting. The happiest students weren't always the most talented. They were the ones who laughed through mistakes, who celebrated small wins, who found wonder in simple things. They weren't chasing perfection, they were living with passion. And because of that, they learned faster, connected deeper, and grew stronger. Happiness gave them resilience. It turned setbacks into stories and pressure into perspective. The world often tells you to delay happiness, to earn it, to deserve it, to wait for it until you've done enough. But life doesn't give refunds for the time you spend waiting to be happy. Happiness isn't something you find at the end of the road, it's something you pack for the trip. If you can find joy in learning, in failing, in trying again, you're unstoppable. You won't burn out because your fire isn't fueled by competition, it's fueled by love for what you do. I remember once talking to a colleague who said, "I can't relax until everything's perfect." I told him, "Then you'll never relax because life doesn't do perfect." Happiness isn't about having everything in place, it's about being at peace even when things aren't. It's choosing to smile at the imperfections, to laugh at the chaos, and to be thankful you get to play the game at all. The truth about success that no one tells you is that it's not measured in numbers, but in moments. The coffee shared with a friend, the sunset you stopped to watch, the laugh that came when you least expected it. Those are the things that fill the gaps money can't reach. When you're happy, you don't need validation, you are the validation. You stop chasing approval because you already feel complete. So, yes, work hard, dream big, aim high. But don't forget to live along the way, because success without happiness is just achievement dressed in emptiness. The real finish line isn't the applause at the end. It's the quiet moment when you realize you're already where you're supposed to be, doing what you love, surrounded by people who make it all worthwhile. That's the truth nobody tells you. Happiness isn't what comes after success. Happiness is success. So as you walk out into this noisy, fast, and often confusing world chasing success, remember this: the truth about success isn't written on a paycheck or engraved on a trophy. It's written in the choices you make every single day. Be curious enough to keep learning, brave enough to fail, passionate enough to keep going, honest enough to stay grounded, and wise enough to know that happiness is the only finish line that matters. Don't let the world rush you. Don't measure your worth by someone else's highlight reel. Build a life that feels successful, not just one that looks successful. Because someday when the applause fades and the lights dim, what will stay with you isn't what you earned, but who you became in the process. So, good luck. Not the kind of luck that helps you win, but the kind that helps you grow. The kind that brings you the right lessons, the right people, and the right moments to remind you that success isn't about reaching the top, it's about never losing your heart on the way up. Now go out there, stay humble, stay hungry, and keep becoming the kind of person success can be proud to find.